My name is Hamid Hakimi. I am the coordinator of Opportunity and Crisis Project at Chatham House. The project is intended to bring policymakers and experts on some of the key challenges and issues facing Afghanistan in 2014 and beyond. Today I am with Nader, the director of BOG, which is the British and Irish Agency's Afghanistan group. Welcome to Chatham House, Mr. Nader.
My pleasure.
What are some of the key development challenges facing Afghanistan?
I think there are medium-term and there are longer-term challenges. In the short and medium-term, insecurity and as well as lack of effective governance framework would be the main challenges. Insecurity has meant that large parts of the country are inaccessible. Development work in those areas are expensive. Maintenance of those projects are difficult. And also international as well as national development actors are unaware of the needs of people caught in the conflict. We have the lack of effective governance framework. From my understanding, those are the over-bureaucratic and complex paper-based system in Afghanistan that has made community-based and need-based planning difficult. It has also made it difficult for some of the ministries to spend their money, the budget that they have. In the long term, development challenges would be Afghanistan's dependency, lack of infrastructure, as well as the corruption. Afghanistan, right from its establishment, I would say, has always depended on external resources. Sometimes we took that through power, but most of the times, especially in the last decades, we have depended on international subsidies and funds. This will continue to haunt Afghanistan. The economy of Afghanistan is based on agriculture. Agriculture is based on weather. This is very destabilizing factor. The second issue, the lack of infrastructure, which means electricity, roads, irrigation canals, but also on the legal aspects, the lack of secure tenure, they all contribute to making development very difficult. And thirdly, we have corruption as a rampant issue in Afghanistan. Afghanistan will need a certain level of economic prosperity, better enforcement of law, and more simplified and effective governance to get rid of this demon.
You talked about Afghanistan's dependency on international development assistance. As you very well know, there's going to be a very steep decline in international development assistance to Afghanistan. How worried are you about this?
Terribly. We recently saw that the American lawmakers halved their civilian development aid to Afghanistan. Now, this sets a dangerous precedent. The international donors have persistently assured the Afghan government and the Afghanistan people that you will not be abandoned, they will continue to assist Afghanistan, but the US lawmakers did otherwise. I am worried, like a lot of other Afghans are. Although a lot of officials in Afghanistan continue to tell people that the effects of it will be negligible, but I believe it is more for the collective morale than the reality. In reality, I would agree more with the head of Afghanistan's Chamber of Commerce and Industries, who think that it will have catastrophic impact on Afghanistan's economic growth.
I know you've written about the significance of NGOs in Afghanistan quite recently for the BBC Persian service. In your view, how important are the NGOs, both Afghan and international, to achieving the developmental goals in Afghanistan?
NGOs have played a significant role in delivering aid and services to the Afghan people, even before Taliban time, during the civil war, and during Taliban time, and now. some of the main achievements of Afghanistan in rural development, access to healthcare and education, they are due to an optimum partnership between NGOs and the Afghan government. Obviously, they are challenged on some of the issues that the Afghanistan government also faces. The military kind of militarization of development aid means that some of the NGOs have been forced to go to priority areas that were considered priority for military purposes. Also, their dependency on international donors means that they cannot all the time meet the priorities of people. And probably this is more true to some of the local NGOs in the country. Again, lack of infrastructure has meant that they have not gone to rural areas mostly. They have been based in urban areas, and sometimes there are gap between what they do and what the real needs of the people are.
Afghanistan, as well as its regional neighbors, have gone through an explosion of a population who are young. Obviously, we see as a result of this an emerging class of educated younger generation in Afghanistan. In your analysis, as an Afghan who has worked in Afghanistan and is working now in the West, how do you analyze the role that the younger generation of educated Afghans have in ensuring the management of development assistance to Afghanistan in a more effective way, and as well as other fields as well?
I would say that today Afghanistan youth are more responsible, they are more committed, and they are more critical of themselves, which is great. Now, this is both an opportunity and also a challenge. The opportunity is that Afghanistan will continue to create new systems more compatible to the Afghan society. We will have achievements in science, in governance, culture, sports, as you may have seen, in taekwondo, football, cricket, and other fields as well. But the challenge is that if the talent and resource, this great human resource that the youth have, is not used, and there are not employment opportunities, then that the youth can turn back to the government. And frankly speaking, we can't afford to have another political instability in Afghanistan.
There's so much media frenzy and a lot of interest in the upcoming presidential elections in Afghanistan. In your view, how relevant is the upcoming presidential election to the future of development assistance to Afghanistan?
I think when people go and vote in Afghanistan, they will also have an influence on the voters in the West, because when they actually have a vote of confidence for democracy, it will also send a strong signal to the taxpayers and the donor countries that their efforts and money have not been in vain. So for the continuation of development aid, that will have a strong impact. For the political stability of Afghanistan, it will be necessary. I'm very excited about the elections, much look forward to it.
And do you think the new administration, whichever candidate wins that contest, are going to face the same challenges that the current administration is facing in managing more with less money from the international community?
The challenges in Afghanistan are not born yesterday. They have been in the country for a long time. We have had war and destruction. In some parts of the country, still violence is prevalent. Now, these challenges will probably continue to exist. And with these challenges, the problems too. What is important is that the major candidates in Afghanistan at the moment, they have good public policies. They have, in their debates, discussed how they are going to tackle some of the development and humanitarian issues, as well as rights of citizens, women's rights, and also vulnerable groups. This is a great change, I think. When you compare to Afghanistan's relatively broad-based, relatively democratic government with those of the previous times, this is a great change. So I think that the part of the challenges will continue, but we are in the right direction to solve them.
Thank you for your time today.
My pleasure.